Greetings everyone! Welcome to the Sonic the Hedgehog issue 282 review. If you're getting tired of this key collectathon, you'll be happy to know that this is the last issue to feature this plot. But before we get started, let's briefly recap the previous issue. Sonic and company are in Chun-Nan to find the key guardian Zonshin. Helping them is Dulcie the Dragon, who's managed to form her own team with people from different clans. And I'll talk more about them in the comments section. While they may or may not go up against Conquering Storm's forces, there's definitely a Dark Gaia corrupted Phoenix to contend with. Part 2 begins at night as everyone witnesses Sonic transforming into the Werehog, some of them even commenting on the form. Chip, Cheese, and Jian return, having scouted ahead. They report that the Phoenix has indeed been corrupted and Zonshin's trapped in the area. And after our White Tiger later notices the Werehog, she says the Egg Army's absent, almost like they wanted the heroes to go to the temple. Sally figures that while they are distracted by the Phoenix, the Egg Army might overwhelm them. In order to solve the Dark Gaia Phoenix problem, they're going to use Chip's reawakened Light Gaia powers. That's right! Chip told the Freedom Fighters this major revelation off-panel. Anyway, at the temple grounds, Sonic and Chip find Zonshin. They tell him they're going to take him back to the village safe and sound, when suddenly Dark Gaia Phoenix. As Sonic engages the creature, Conquering Storm and her forces are watching from a distance. She wonders why Sonic's fighting alone. Well, Connie, here's why. Should have foreseen this possibility, eh? Anyway, Sonic is going to give the bird his own offering, a vase full of water, which weakens it. I'm giving this a pass because water is the Dark Gaia Phoenix weakness in the games. Conquering Storm decides now's the time to strike, so the Freedom Fighters and Dulcie's team, the Sinjin or Sinshin Warriors, however you want to pronounce that term, make their move. So it's a battle on two fronts, Sonic focusing his attention on the Phoenix, and everyone else fighting the Egg Army. Conquering Storm knocks down and mocks Dulcie on how they're about to lose the battle. Dulcie responds that this battle was only a distraction. Chip summons his Light Gaia powers to turn the Phoenix back to normal. I'm also going to give this one a pass because, in a way, Light Gaia is fulfilling his purpose. And if you're curious, the game had the Phoenix returning to normal thanks to putting the Chaos Emerald into Chun-Nan's Gaia Temple. With the Phoenix back to normal, Conquering Storm orders her forces back to base. However, the Phoenix has ideas of his own and decides to burn said base to the ground. Connie says a post-battle one-liner to Dulcie before Ninja vanishing. As thanks, Zonshin gives Sonic his Gaia keys, which means they now have all 7 key sets, thank goodness. Finally, some encouraging words from Sally to Dulcie, and the story ends. Just like that. Yeah! Our second story starts with Knuckles, Mighty, Amy, and Ray about to storm Thunderbolt's egg base. If you recall at the end of the previous issue, we were reintroduced to the Knuckles-Amy's searching for the Master Emerald shards subplot. And we're seeing an element of that right now. Knuckles and Mighty go for the direct approach, while Ray and Amy split off to do their own thing. Okay folks, we've got a major spoiler alert coming up during a conversation between Eggman and Thunderbolt, so skip to this time to avoid it. Okay, here we go. Eggman's yelling at Thunderbolt for losing a couple of Super Badniks and a Chaos Emerald despite the fact that she helped him regain control of Eggman Land. Thunderbolt shows Eggman that she has a couple of Master Emerald shards. As Eggman considers the possibilities, the base alarm goes off. So we have Knuckles and Mighty versus a lot of Egg Soldiers. Yeah, the soldiers are going to have a bad day. The two find the Master Emerald shards and an enraged Thunderbolt. But Knuckles is determined to get those shards back, so he engages battle with the electric chinchilla. Ray opens a window from the outside, allowing Mighty to toss the capsule all the way back to Moss. Sort of. Egg reinforcements arrive, and given that it's the majority of Thunderbolt's forces, that means the command center is understaffed. Amy summons her inner Dee Dee and disrupts the computer so that the army is disorganized. All in all, a job well done. While Knuckles is pleased he's making progress, he's also worried that he might not make it before Sonic and company put the world back together. Amy says not to worry before using the Mystic Melody to track a whole bunch of shards on West Side Island. And so Knuckles and Amy are off to that location and to Sonic Universe issue 87. After reading the first story, I had to put the issue down for a while. When I came back and read it again, this question popped into my head. Who's the one responsible for the two 10-page story format? Quick reminder, ever since issue 276, the main book has had two stories, both 10 pages, each with mixed results content-wise. I'll talk more about this when I review the final issue of the Shattered World Crisis, but I will say that the fights suffered because of this format. I mean, there was some potential, but space limitations got in the way. We saw some of that with Conquering Storm confronting Dulcie here. And how about a little more of this interaction with, say, our former Egg Soldier White Tiger Lady? And the way the story ends, it's like, oh, Sonic got the last Gaia key, bye. I'm mixed about the number of characters involved. On one hand, cutting the number of freedom fighters down to just Sonic and Sally, with Chip tagging along, could give more focus to Dulcie's team. On the other hand, Big and Antoine did help reduce the number of Conquering Storm's forces. I'm sorry, Cream and Cheese fans, myself included, but I don't see a reason for her to be here, especially since she'll have a big role next issue. The Fight Fire with Fire subtitle has a nice double meaning. We have Sonic, a Dark Gaia corrupted individual at this point, versus Dark Gaia Phoenix, a corrupted spirit. And there's Sally's plan of ambushing ninjas, which is what the ninjas were going to do to Sonic. Ultimately, underestimating the enemy is what cost Connie the fight and her base. As I said in the summary, I don't mind Chip turning the Phoenix back to normal with his powers. The problem I have is that Chip discussed his true reawakening off-panel. Seriously, a major revelation should not be omitted. Boy, the Sonic Unleashed fans are not going to be pleased about this. I'm upset, and I barely had exposure to the game beyond one playthrough and research. Speaking of research, a number of you in the comments section from the last issue mentioned that Dulcie's team were based on the 4 Chinese animal symbols: the Azure Dragon of the East, the Vermilion Bird of the South, the White Tiger of the West, and the Black Turtle of the North. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for mentioning that to me, otherwise I would not have understood the symbolism here. Anyway, there's been some alterations between the 4 animals and Dulcie's team. For one, Bunker is dark green, and another, Cinder, is a pheasant. Another nice touch is some relation between the animals and their elements. For example, Cinder in the previous issue mentioned that she wants to be like the Phoenix, an animal usually associated with fire. In fact, her name Cinder means a small piece of burnt or partially burnt substance. One more example. The White Tiger animal is usually associated with the element of metal. Now what's on the end of Jian's tail? And finally, from what I've read, Dulcie's team name Sin-Jin or Sin-Shin is appropriate since that term also describes the 4 Chinese animals as a protective group. I'm giving this story a 7 because the background information about Dulcie's team is deserving of additional points, considering the research involved in their creation. Otherwise, I said what I needed to say on the story. The art's alright, but the coloring confused me at certain points. At times, it almost looks like it takes place during the day. The second story, well, I could say it's a fun adventure. Knuckles and Mighty owning a number of egg forces, Amy really having fun in the control room, and Thunderbolt losing another MacGuffin. The 2 powerhouses obviously hung out in the past, maybe at the same time as the Chaotix, hence a possible Knuckles Chaotix scenario. Who knows? The other thing to note is, Knuckles and Amy's quest has lasted a while and has yielded little reward. You know what? I'll let that slide. We don't know how the 2 travel, and they have the entire planet to search for the Master Emerald shards. Conveniently, a whole bunch of shards are now located on West Side Island. It's almost as if someone else is gathering shards as well. This tale gets a 7.5. Again, it's a fun romp with nice penciling action courtesy of Jennifer Hernandez. Plus, it sets up the next Sonic Universe arc after Eggman's Dozen. Well folks, thank you for joining me for the final Collectathon issue. Next time, the heroes start playing to put the world back together. Until then, have a good day, and be safe. You know, it's kind of a good thing Mighty missed. Imagine what would happen to Moss if it was a direct hit.